So we are back on Restream again today. I don't know if I will stick with Restream, but whenever you get a chance, come on and let me know if my mouth matches the sound of my voice. We're going to, fingers crossed, hope that it all matches. Happy Friday. Whew, today has been such a good day. I am in such a good mood. I'm feeling very excited for the future. Yay, I'm starting to see some comments come in. It takes a little while with Restream before the comments come in. It's so hot outside. I feel like this week took forever and can't believe it's nearly the end of August. I cannot believe that either. Milena from Serbia, hello. Big hugs to you too. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. I'm in sync today. Oh, Team Sarah. Renee is taking a week off next week, you guys. So if you need anything over the next week, she's going to be gone. So you can reach out to me or anybody else in the admin teams or anything like that. I was just going to show Dee Dee, I did not wear your lovely necklace today because I was wearing gold, but you guys look at this beautiful dragonfly necklace that Dee Dee sent in my PO box. Like, how beautiful is that? It's absolutely gorgeous. I've worn it several days this week and it just really touched my heart. I love it. So thank you for that, Dee Dee. I loved it. I also got some beautiful handmade cards and some other things this week. So that was very, very nice. Diane says, started a pumpkin spice candle. I have declared it is fall in my world. You know, we have had no rain in this area for months, and it's showing in the soil, it's showing in our fence and everything. It's just so many places where it is obvious some of our stuff is dying, like things just don't look good. And then this week we finally got rain and it filled up our rain barrel entirely. We have green grass immediately. It's so funny how quickly nature renews itself. And I feel like it's such a lesson because I feel like I'm in need of renewal. So put a comment down below if you feel like you need a season of renewal as well. You know, I think that sometimes, you know, when you hear people talk about if they want to write about their own life or talk about their own life, that sometimes it's better to have a bit of space between whatever the event was that you went through and what you are going through, you know, what, you know, how much time you have, like when you're going to talk about it versus when you went through it. And I, I always feel like sometimes you have a unique perspective when you're in the middle of a hard time or stress or whatever, because you've got that one perspective of like, I'm in the middle of this. I am a fighter right now. I am going to get through it. Or sometimes on some days we have attitude of, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm feeling, you know, that things are not going great, you know, and oh no, it's out of sync again. Are you kidding? All right, this is definitely the last time that I will use Restream. I'm going to try to just refresh. So sad. I'm going to try to just refresh and see if it'll restart, and let's see what that does. Give me just a moment. Okay, so I have refreshed. Tell me in the comments, all my comments have now disappeared, but let me know in the comments if that seemed to fix it. If not, I'm just going to go out and restart. So I feel like it is really tough sometimes to get it just right, find the right software, get everything going. StreamYard was working so well for so long, but it's just from the last recent, okay, it fixed it. So let's keep it. Let me know if it dies again and we'll keep on moving. Restream, you know, everybody says is so much better. And now we've been having these problems. StreamYard just kept making everything blurry. So I'm going to switch to eCam, I think, and we'll try that next week and it'll just be this fun, big experiment. But anyway, I think what I was talking about is, you know, sometimes when we're going through things, that it kind of feels like, you know, we're in it and we have to be laser focused on it. So you can't really see the eagle eye view of something when you're going through it. And sometimes it takes until after you've kind of settled in, things have sort of settled, you've got your, emotional center again, and all of these kind of things. And then you can have a different level of perspective. Like when I was going through such a hard time between two house fires, having to fly to Japan to testify in a trial, like all these different things. And I this was years and years and years ago. Obviously, I couldn't see any reason why that stuff could have been good for my life because it's like, well, this is the worst thing. This is the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I don't know how I'm going to make it out of this. But then perspective, when I'm here 20 something years later, I'm able to look back on that and be like, oh my gosh, that was truly a blessing in my life. Even getting rejected. So some of you know this already, but the only book I ever submitted to a traditional publisher was a Harlequin novel that I called The Millionaire's Secret Merger, because it was meant for the Silhouette Desire line. And it was one of those sort of fake engagement type trope stories. And I wrote it, I sent it off to editor at Harlequin. And the day that George and I left for our wedding, I checked the mail and there was a rejection letter there saying that she loved my writing, but that story just wasn't right for her because there was too much subplot, which, makes sense now when you read my writing, because there's lots of different things going on and lots of POVs. And, back then I was sad about it. It was like, man, I spent a year working on that book and I really, really wanted it to be the right thing. And when you're going through it and you're really close to it, sometimes you just can't see the perspective. But now looking back on it later, I was like, thank God I didn't get that publishing deal, because number one, that wasn't really the kind of book that I wanted to be writing long term. And number two, sometimes when you get that deal, then there's another deal and another deal. And it's really nice for that. But it's like, if that's not where you want to be, then you're kind of stuck in this place. So sometimes even the rejections or the hard times and the things that feel devastating can actually be something that leads to a renewal, is kind of what I'm trying to say. I kind of missed, I think, some of the chat. LA, I hope you're feeling good. I'm so sorry. Mason is writing a memoir. That is nice. So I'm seeing oh, Jennifer, you're here today. It's so good to see you. I've been thinking of you because of my stickers and just different things like that. I did not, well, okay. Did you self-publish that book? LA says. So I was going to say I did not. I did not publish that book under my Sarah Cannon name, but several years ago, I did publish that book under a pen name. And it was kind of a trial of like, oh, I hate to just let that book go and never do anything with it because it's a completed novel. And I actually had my cover artist who did my original Demon series, Robin, I had her make 5-book series worth of covers for that. And so I paid for the covers. I basically wrote book 2, published book 1, and tried to just kind of see how it would go. And I actually made over $10,000 on that book, which is kind of funny because it's like, what? Well, Jennifer Brooks, I'm glad you're here too. I hope you're feeling good. I was going to ask you last week if you didn't mind sharing how far along you are, because I know that you've got a baby on the way, right? So we've got lots of Jennifers. But I did actually self-publish that book, but I didn't ever publish the follow-on. And that doesn't mean that I never will, but it was just like, oh my gosh, I cannot publish a second series. But it actually has all 5-star reviews. Every single review for that book is a 5-star, which is kind of funny. And it actually did really, really well. And I probably should go back and publish it, but it's just one of those things. Yeah, I cannot give it to you guys. I cannot. Maybe someday I'll just give it to you guys for free. Just because I don't know. It's a different kind of thing. So we'll see. Maybe one day I will just give it to you. But what's so funny about it is my friend Marquita, I don't know if any of you read Marquita's books, but she reached out to me and she's like, is this you? Because she recognized my writing style and she had known that I was writing a story about that like secret or fake engagement stuff. And she just recognized my writing style. It was like, how did you know that was me? So it was kind of funny. My beta readers, or one of my beta readers, has actually read it. Yeah, eat your heart out, Harlequin, because they never would have paid me $10,000 for that book as a debut author. Would not have happened. But I digress. The point is that, sometimes when we're going through hard times, we can't see how it's actually leading us in the direction that we need to go. So, first of all, if you are someone who is, Jeremy, thank you so much. So, if you are somebody who's going through a hard time right now and you just can't see your way out of it, please know that this is somehow leading you toward the path you were meant to be on. And there's going to be a day when you look back on this time and you say, I'm thankful for that lesson, or I'm so glad I made it out of that and the person that I became afterward. So if you're feeling a need for rest and renewal, maybe this is a good time to kind of remind yourself that sometimes out of, a drought and everything's dying and it looks like there's no hope, all it takes is that one strong rainfall and everything is green again. It was storming so hard that all of our patio furniture, even our neighbor over here, Edward, his patio furniture was flying in front of our house, and everything ended up stuck against our neighbor's fence all the way over there. All of my pillows and everything. So it was so crazy. Jude says, how did you get all those sales on a first book, first author start? Oh, this will be, if I decide to share with you guys the book, then I will tell that full story. But I was trying out some marketing stuff that I knew wouldn't work as well for my young adult series. So I'll have to tell you guys that story another time to see if that would help some of you get it. But it was such a beautiful cover. I ran Facebook ads, which I never really do. Some stuff like that. So not the egg chair, but the egg chair, all the pillows from it were all gone. So, but poor Edward, their entire patio furniture, his chair is still in my neighbor's driveway. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's so funny. Crazy storms. They were bananas. We were actually an outdoor concert when it came through and they canceled 30 minutes into the last act. Oh my gosh. I bet that was insane. I hope you made it safely back to your car and everybody made it home safely. So yeah. So if there are some requests, I will share some of that with you guys and maybe even tell you about the next book in the series and some of the things that we could talk about in terms of that potential. Yeah. So I had this, I'm totally going off what I meant to talk about, but that's okay. So maybe for Publish and Thrive could be an interesting case study. So I had this idea in the beginning that I thought, you know what? I published that first book and it did much, much better than I could have ever. It's not like I made $10,000 the first month, but it sold and 10,000 copies in the first year that it was out. And it was one of those things where I had a feeling that if I could publish the rest of that series, it would do really well. Because it's very tropey. It's also, I don't know, it's just different from my current writing, but also was fun in some ways. And I thought if I could pre-write all the rest of that series and release them and record behind the scenes without telling anyone a case study because I would have to do it like without telling people, because if I told everyone this is my pen name and I'm trying this experiment, then people would be able to go and buy it and then that would ruin the experiment. So it was like I was thinking I could position myself as a debut author, go through and publish those books all in a series, and then do a case study on YouTube of here's how I would do things if I was a debut author. And here's the process that I went through to relaunch a secret pen name. And here's what I did to make money. And I thought that would be really cool. But I've never had the time to do it, which is some of what we're going to talk about today. So I have been feeling a bit of what I called on Instagram and Facebook some hermit energy. And I was talking about this a little bit in the Discord server as well. It's this, I've been telling you guys that I've heard this kind of whisper that there's change coming and there's things that are needing to change in my life. And I've been feeling a bit of hermit energy that I need to go go quiet for a little bit, get off of my thoughts about everybody else. Like, okay, I've got this live stream and I've got this to do and I got to do this video for everybody, and all this stuff. I have like decided to go away a little bit because I was trying to use that quiet time in the evenings instead and just kind of create a quiet space. So we got our new bed all set up, and I did actually take a picture so I can show you guys like what it actually looks like now that it's fully set up, because it just looks so nice. Let me see if I can find the edited version of that photo. So it's nice and light because it was a little dark. Let's see. Okay, so this is our current bedroom setup. I have been like planning out what I wanted to do against this black wall in here, and I am so happy with how this turned out. It's our first ever king size bed, and I have totally made this into a retreat. We were talking a little bit about this bed yesterday, but I just got all the pillows on there and everything. George is like, you're allowed to have pillows on the bed as long as you take them off every day and you make the bed every day. I'm like, I will do it. I will do it. So I need to find some kind of basket or something to hold all those pillows at night so they don't go on the floor. But it's so beautiful. It's very cozy. That bed is so soft and just lovely. Again, it's a Helix sleep mattress, and it was way less expensive than our Tempur-Pedic bed that we had. And it's just a little retreat. So I've been trying to use that time at night in our bedroom of, okay, this is my rest and renewal time, and I'm going to journal and all this. But there's something about being in your own house sometimes that you can't get away from it. Evie still wants to come in, even like she's got to go to the bathroom, even though she's supposed to be sleeping. Andrew comes in, even though he's supposed to be asleep. George comes in and asks me 1,000 questions or starts talking about like some podcast he was listening to. And it just makes it impossible to really get into that hermit energy of, I need an extended period of time to sit and really think about kind of, I know I feel like I'm all over the place the last couple of weeks. So thank you guys for sticking with me and for loving me anyway, even though my brain's like ping ponging around a bunch of different thoughts. I was talking about the perspective. It's like after this, it's like I didn't even realize, I think, how much not only the internet and personal attacks that were going on last year, losing my assistant last year, who I had loved and was hoping was going to stick with me, losing that house in Charleston and kind of having to sort of fruit basket turnover our entire lives, like all of these things, it was all a blessing. But I don't think I even realized until recently how much my body has been in kind of like fight or flight mode for literally a year and a half, ever since I got that email that I was being accused of plagiarism and stuff. So ever since that moment, my stomach has kind of been in knots, and I've been fighting anxiety and all this other stuff. And I think that only in the past couple of weeks that I've been sort of listening to my heart and listening to these whispers and being able, like, I cannot even tell you how much a blessing it is to have the opportunity to come on once a week and just talk to you guys about what's going on in my brain and just be honest and know that you're going to hear it and share your experiences. It means so much because it's sort of like a little therapy talk here, even though it's fun and hanging out with friends. But it's kind of helping me process it. And it's just that perspective of saying, wow, I'm finally in a place where I am starting to relax. I'm feeling my shoulders kind of unwind. My stomach is kind of allowing me to take in full deep breaths and, all these other things. Unfortunately, it did not, there's been no it's the kind of thing that's like not going to ever be necessarily resolved, because I never know when at any minute she could come back with other stuff. But in terms of what has happened now, not to drag it all back out, after everything exploded on Twitter, she has not made another post. And so she hasn't contacted me. My lawyer hasn't said anything about it. So I'm just I'm telling you, I feel like in my heart that it's over, even if she were to come back and say other things because of all the outpouring of support that I got from not only my own community, but just the author community in general. It made me feel so much more safe. And I think this is something to talk about in a way too, because maybe this will sort of resonate with some of you, is that when you when you grow up in a household where you don't feel emotionally safe. Now I know there's some people who grow up like more difficult situations than I did, where you don't feel like you know where your next meal is coming from, or um there's physical abuse that's going on. Now I suffered physical abuse, but only up until I was about 4 years old, from cigarette burns and being hit and things like that. But when I turned 4, we moved to a new city, and my mom went back to school. And so she was no longer home with me all day. And then I went to school. And so that meant that anytime my mom was home, there were other people around. And that kind of saved me from some of that stuff. And so it was an emotional abuse, right? And I feel like when you grow up in a place where you don't feel safe, you want to people please. At least this has been my experience. And my desire to help all of you and to be, build a community, to write books, to serve my community over at Heart Breathings, and to teach courses and to give so much of myself comes from a beautiful place, because it comes from a passion of wanting to connect with people and to help people. But there is, I think, a dangerous place where that desire to help spills into a desire to prove myself to other people, or to prove, um, like, to make sure that people approve of me, to be the good girl, to make sure that I'm safe because you love me, kind of thing. It's like replaying those old traumas of, like, I'm going to do everything you ask me to because I want to make sure that you love me, and then not being sure how that's going to be received, or when at any given moment you could be in trouble or not the good girl anymore. And so I'm starting to kind of untangle some of this, both through some therapy stuff and from journaling and books that I've been reading, and just from my spiritual work with Tanya Gonzalez, of understanding. I actually worked with a woman called Rachel this week about energy leadership assessment. And that was also really eye opening, because she was telling me that if I can unhook this desire to serve from this place of people pleasing, and I can set better boundaries for myself. Like, it's great for me to answer questions and help and share my knowledge. It goes too far when I sacrifice time with my family, or I'm sacrificing sleep to stay up answering questions at midnight. It's really helpful when I want to write books that people will love, but it's not helpful or not healthy when I say very negative things to myself and I cut off my creativity because I feel obligated to work on a certain thing. Um, in terms of, oh, I'm not writing book 12 fast enough. And because there are some people that are not pleased with that work, then I let that translate into I'm a bad person, or there's some kind of knot in my stomach about how I'm not pleasing other people. And I really feel like, yeah, this could be inner child work. And Milena asks, do you have a defensive attitude because your brain works like that? I do sometimes. I've worked on this so hard, because it's difficult to be the leader that I want to be with a community when you're defensive. But when someone, this is one of the places where Renee really helps out, because she can provide that buffer in my email. And it also helps me if someone accuses me of something, like, I want a refund on your course because it's stupid. No one's ever told me that, but, like, I want a refund on this course because it's not teaching me anything new. It's like, that's a valid reason to want a refund on the course, because maybe you really do know more than me, because there's lots of people who do, or it just isn't the right thing for you. But because of my past, sometimes I tend to get on the defensive of that, like, but this course is full of stuff, and I'm sorry that blah, blah, blah. And I don't respond to that way, but it's like some part of me has a gut response of, like, well, fine then, like wanting to be upset like a child in a way. And I have learned over the past several years to take a step back and say, this is not an attack on me. This is someone who genuinely did not need this course and just needs a refund. It's fine. And so it's been so easy for me now, and it's been a realization of how far I've grown, that anytime like someone just asked for a refund on this week, and said, oh, this course is lovely, but I just realized I know more than I thought I did, and this isn't learning anything new. And I literally didn't feel any ugliness about that because there was nothing ugly about it. But in the past, like 2 or 3 years ago, if that had happened, there would have been some part of me that was like, I didn't do a good enough job, and I would have blamed myself for that person wanting a refund on my course. And I'm honestly so if you had to say, "What are you most proud of yourself for this week?" That would be one of them, because I'm so proud of myself that I've worked hard enough on myself and understanding that everything is not about me kind of thing, that is just a genuinely wonderful exchange. You tried my course, you think it's lovely, it wasn't for you. That's great. And I didn't have any kind of judgment of myself for that. And so I'm really proud of that. And I would like to continue on with it, getting better and better on that, because that type of exchange is easier when when people um, when people are emailing to say that they don't like something, like they didn't appreciate a video I made, or they don't think that I should be doing XYZ, or it's more critical, like you've abandoned your fans, that kind of stuff, that I still have a lot of negative reaction to. And there's a part of me that says, well, Sarah, everyone is going to feel bad when you get a critical email like that. So try not to judge yourself there, but it is something I would like to get better at in terms of my own personal boundaries of saying, okay, I know I haven't abandoned my fans. I just also know that it's taking me a little bit more time to write books in the past few years, which is one of those reasons why I have decided to take a little bit of a break for myself this weekend. So as soon as this live stream is over, George went to go pick up Andrew from school, so he'll be home in a little bit. And so we share a car. We only have one car. So as soon as they're home with the car and I'm done with this live stream, I have my bags are packed and they are by the door over there. And I am checking into a 4.5-star hotel in downtown Dallas. And I'm going to be there for 2 nights. So I will be doing my Publish and Thrive live stream from the hotel room tomorrow. And this was something that I did on a whim last night. I booked this yesterday afternoon or yesterday evening because I've been feeling this need to get away, and I have not been able to create that space for me here in the house. And so I decided I'm just going to go and I'm going to enjoy it. And I will tell you, when I first had decided to, oh, I love these comments. You guys are awesome. When I first decided and was going through this realization of the fact that I really was abused emotionally, I was kind of awakening to that and trying to just decide what I was going to do about it. George gave me this gift of 3 nights away to Savannah. And I did the desire map. I've talked about this book before, but it's basically a book that takes you through this idea. Like, instead of setting goals and milestones for yourself that are what I want to accomplish or what I want to do, it's a way of setting goals based on how you want to feel. If you've never read the desire map, it was life-changing for me. And part of the reason it was life-changing is because I went away on a 3-night retreat in 2016 and went through that entire book and workbook to decide how I wanted to feel and what I wanted to do with my life and how I wanted to design my life. It was pivotal in my journey, like pivotal in my journey. And I've been feeling and thinking about that night. Yes, Danielle Laporte. I've been thinking about that hotel night or that hotel stay for the past week or so. It just keeps coming in my mind of how much that I would love to do something like that again and talk about signs and synchronicities. I started thinking about it and I was like, I feel like I want to go away this weekend, but it's not ideal because I have Publish and Thrive. Maybe I should wait and go after all my courses are over. But there's some part of me that's like, go now, right? And when I looked, I thought I'm going to go back to my receipts in my email and see when that weekend was that I went away doing that desire map. And y'all, it's this exact weekend. It was August 21st, 22nd, 23rd. And I just knew. I was like, "Okay." I told George, I was like, I'm booking it. I'm booking it." So I went on Priceline. If you are not familiar, Priceline has express deals that are kind of like hotels that uh, put their prices way down, and you don't know what hotel it is, but you can kind of, um someone is messaging me. Go away. I do not know you. Someone's tried to do a FaceTime call with me. Y'all, I don't know who that is. Um, but I hopefully that didn't just mess up my stream. So let me know if that lagged me out or something. But I went on Priceline. You can do express deals, and I ended up getting a nice hotel for like $100 a night. And I'm so excited because it's going to be a super nice hotel. There's restaurant, room service, a nice pool, there's a gym. It's right downtown. I'm so excited. And Wendy, we did go to the Gaylord Texan. That was our first Dallas area type thing that we did was last year. So okay, it's good. Thank you so much. During Christmas. And I think we'll probably go back as a family, at least to visit, even if we don't stay there. But I'm so excited. I highly recommend if you have it. I know and understand that this is not something that everyone can do just on a whim all the time. Part of it is because I don't work a normal job. Part of it is because I have the funds to be able to do it. But like literally 2 nights away is only costing me like $230, which I know that's a lot of money for many people, but it's so worth it for me right now to go. And if you don't have that kind of money, don't go stay at a 4-star hotel. Go stay at a 2-star hotel, and you can get it for $70, and you'll be better off. But it's I'm so excited to do that. And I've been thinking about it. I charged up my vlogging camera just in case I decide to go and record some of it for 6 months for life. But I also want to make sure, because there's a temptation in terms of self-sabotage. And when you are a people pleaser, it's hard to be selfish with your time sometimes. And I really want to be selfish with my time this weekend because it's meant for reflection and renewal. Like this rainstorm that came down and greened up our grass literally in 24 hours. It's like I need that kind of rest and renewal, and I need to get a big perspective after all this change that we've gone through. It's so nice to be able to just take this perspective. And I have to tell you guys, there's like secret things that I cannot tell you about, but I had an hour and a half meeting with an executive for a very like famous company today, that wants to help me get my books more exposed. And it's like it just elevated my possibilities or expanded the possibilities of what's possible for me with my books. And before we got off the call, he was like, "Sarah, you have so much potential. You have so much potential." And when I know Renee knows all the secrets, and I will hopefully tell you guys, it's not like a TV deal or anything like that. I won't get you that excited, but it was just an amazing opportunity to connect and network with a major executive. And I just was able to get on that call and feel good about it, and to talk about my books and to share things. And I left the call feeling like there is so much potential, and there are so many things that I could be doing. And so I have to take a moment to really sit and think about every choice that I make needs to be the choice that I want to make for my future self. Like if I'm planning from future Sarah, who is she and what kinds of things does she want to bring into her life? Steph says not yet a TV deal. Yes, exactly. That has not been here yet, but maybe it's a stepping stone on the path. Exactly. Thank you for that. And I am understanding that really and truly the limits that I think are there for me are only there because I believe they're there. Like if I say, well, that'll never be me, look at my friend KF Breen, Katie, she's like #1 Amazon bestseller. That'll never happen for me. And I'm the one that places that limit there. And I may have all these excuses as to why. Well, it's not, I don't write sexy enough, or I don't write YA, or I don't whatever. But it's like that's just me placing obstacles in my path that don't really exist. And I feel like this step away is going to be an amazing opportunity for me to say, where am I placing invisible obstacles on my path? Where am I draining myself because I'm sacrificing? So, Rachel, that I talked to about this ELI assessment, she was saying that she thinks I should start a new journal. And I was like, what? A new notebook? A reason for a new notebook? Let me run and get one. And she was saying that she thinks I should start a sacrifice notebook, which is basically this idea of logging at the end of every night. Where did I sacrifice something that I needed in order to help other people? Because sometimes that's going to be something that comes from a place of, I truly want to serve. And sometimes that sacrifice will come from a place of, I need to do this because I have to prove that I'm a good person, or that I feel obligated to sacrifice of myself. And so she recommended doing that. So that's something I'm going to be starting, and I will share that in my notebook challenges. But I'm so excited to get this time away. Yes, LA says maybe a time to do a new vision board. I tend to do my vision boards these days in Good Notes on my iPad. And so I'm bringing that with me. And I literally had to walk through the whole house with my iPad, looking at the Bluetooth thing to see when my Apple Pencil connected, because I could not find it. So I'm not sure what an Enneagram 2 is. I know I've taken the test, but a lot of people tend to think that they know my Enneagram, and then it's completely not what they think it is. I can try to look it up, but I don't always remember what they are. So I can't remember which. I don't know. I'll have to look it up for you, Roseanne. I'm not sure. Um, I'm not 100% sure. The ones, so I am not the helper. I'm the leader, but there, whichever one that is, it's like a 4 or 7 or 6. I don't know. I always forget. Whichever one's the leadership one, that's the one that I am. But sometimes when you've been through trauma, whatever you are gets skewed, right? Because you can't always step into what is your true zone of genius, because you're being informed by all this past trauma. And I'm just ready to bust out of this. I'm ready to be my true self and just embrace it and love myself, right? For who I am, and to set boundaries that allow me to do it. But there may be changes coming from it. Like I still anticipate that I'm going to be doing coffee chat, but it's like, maybe the spooktacular is not going to be 13 full days of blog posts and giveaways. Maybe it's just going to be a week, or maybe it'll just be a one grand prize giveaway with our normal coffee chats. Like, some things I'm going to scale back to make space for some of these other opportunities, right, for myself. And I am excited for that and nervous for that. So one possible change might be that Publish and Thrive may only run once next year instead of twice. Um, Dictator Donna, is that actually one, or I don't even know what they all are. Leader is 8. So I don't know. 8 doesn't sound right either. I don't know. We'll have to talk about Enneagram another time. I feel like I always get confused as to what they are. I'm an ENFJ, which I know is the protagonist or something like that. So that made sense to me, but I really don't know. One day, maybe there will be a Sarah Khan. This is something I've talked to Becca Syme about some in terms of vision for the future. I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish, and a lot of visions, and a lot of books I want to write, and things I want to be excited about. But it's like, I'm feeling like the last 4 years of my life have gone so much to helping other people, sharing my knowledge, building up those kinds of things. But really, when I think about, like, because somebody in a group mastermind, my Accelerate Mastermind with Amber McHugh, who moved to Africa this week, by the way, she's gone, in case you, well, she's not gone, but she's moved now to the Ivory Coast. I'm so excited for her. I have a little thing on my altar for her, some flowers and a note for safety for her. If you know Amber McHugh. So some people, not Amber, but some people in that mastermind were like, well, maybe you could just get someone else to write your books, because they don't necessarily know me and my business. And they were like, well, just get someone else to write your books, get a ghostwriter, and just focus on heart breathings, right? And I literally felt ill in my stomach. I was And Amber was like, no, no, because she knows me. She knows that's never going to be something that I could do. But I felt so physically ill because I thought I don't want to live in a world where I can't write books and enjoy it. And so it might be, and the other thing, so I talked about this in the coven, and then I will answer some questions, I promise, from, I think we have 3 questions in the Q&A that I did not get to last week. But I read an article this week that, was from TourCon 2020. And this was, oh, I see my family coming down the road. And I see a cop car leaving because my neighbor over here, Crystal, she's a cop. So it's like she's leaving, he's coming. But I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Sorry, too many things, too many moving parts talking about the book. I read this article, and it was an interview between Neil Gaiman and V.E. Schwab, who wrote The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And he was asking her, oh, this has been such a huge hit. How long did it take you to write that book? And she was saying basically that it was 10 years of thinking through the story and realizing when she would come back to it that it just wasn't quite ready yet, that there was some part of her that wasn't ready. And she would know that when she would start thinking about it, the ideas wouldn't start coming, all this stuff. And then she finally decided she was ready to write it. And it took her 2 full years to write it. And then, of course, it's this huge bestseller that spent weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. And he was saying that his book, The Graveyard Book, which is a children's book, that he said it's one of the most proud books he is. It's one of the books he's most proud of that he's written. He said that it was like he came up with that idea in the 1980s, and then he revisited it in the 90s, realized that he's not ready for it, came back to it in early 2000s, and finally wrote it. And they were both talking about how it's such a tragedy when they read books by authors that they know were rushed, and that it could have so benefited from a little bit more time. And that as writers, we know when it's time to write something and when it's not. And I just started sobbing. And George was like, what is wrong with you? Are you okay? And I was like, just not only the validation from these 2 amazing, like hugely successful authors, that sometimes, like, I feel like in the indie world, especially, there's a lot of people that are writing really fast. Like some people write 5 to 10 books a year. And so a lot of readers expect that of us, but some authors are not capable of that. And some books are not capable of coming out. Yes, that's another one. So Stephen King also said that was the way it was with The Dark Tower too, that he wasn't ready to finish that. And I feel like in the indie world, it's so prevalent to be pushed to write faster, faster, faster. And in order to keep your sales numbers up and keep making money, you have to write faster. And of course, I recommend this as well as a good strategy, right? But we always have to be balancing the strategy versus our own mental health. And it's an unfortunate turn of things that most indies can't just write a book for 3 years and only put 1 book out every 3 years and still make a good living, right? Because we don't have the same advances and different stuff that come from traditional publishing. And there was just something about that, because I've been talking to George about this so much, that I have worked so hard for the last year to try to make this book 12, come together. And it's like, I've written Post-it notes, taken them down, writing in my journal, taking them down. And it's like, this story is just not ready yet. And I'm devastated about it, because it needs to be ready for, like, it's already been a year since the last one came out, and people were so upset about the last one to the point where the very first review that went up on the book was a 1 star that was like, I devoured it in 3 hours, but it took her too long to write it. And it was just like, no, you've got to be kidding me. Because I was like, that can't be the first review, y'all, come on. But it's like, I was sobbing, not only for the fact that I want more time, and I want to not feel rushed, and I want to feel like I have the ability to take as much time as I need for a book, but also I want to please my readers and I want to make sure everybody's happy with me. And I'm kind of living on that edge, Um, but I also, it's not just that the book isn't coming together. I have not been really stoking the fire of my creativity, and so part of that is on me, but I have to create space for my writing again, and so that's kind of what I'm going away to do. I hope that wasn't too convoluted, or I feel sometimes like it's important to talk about, but I also don't want it to seem like I'm complaining about it either, because that's not the energy that I want to put out into the world. Is I'm so sorry that I'm never writing as fast as everybody wants me to, but that apologeticness comes from that stuff I was talking about, like always wanting to be the good girl at home and not feeling safe if I don't please other people. So this is what I'm working on right now. I'm always a work in progress. Okay, so we have three questions. Karina asked, many greetings from Germany. As you shared a lot about alignment, I'm wondering if you remember what first positive sign came into your life that made you realize you had turned from the wrong to the right path. For me, negative stuff always seems so easy to accumulate, while positive momentum is so hard to hold on to. How did you first recognize the positive signs, and how did you hold on to following them? Thank you so much in advance, and all the best to you and your family on your path. So the first, it wasn't something I saw as a child or understood, but the first thing that happened, and I can't even remember, maybe some of you will know, I'm not sure if this is something it was maybe like a Fulbright scholarship or something like that. But I was talking to some people. I was in undergraduate school. I think it was Fulbright scholarship. I was in undergraduate school. Hey, George. And I was looking for what I'm going to do next. And somebody had mentioned, what about a Fulbright scholarship, which is, I think, is a scholarship that you can go and study overseas. And I thought, well, how cool would it be to go study overseas for a couple of years on a scholarship and be able to live in Germany? And it's funny that you asked that question. It's like so perfect, because Germany would be where I was looking at to sing opera in Germany. And I was thinking about applying for a Fulbright. And I had read this art, or this Goethe quote, where they talk about how the moment you commit to something, the universe moves with you and will open doors for you. I don't have the exact quote memorized, but it's something like that. Look up, I think it's Goethe, and it's a German quote. And so it's so perfect, Karina, that you're sending this from Germany. And when I made that decision that I was thinking about Fulbright scholarship, I thought about that quote about, well, the doors will open if I want to go. And that weekend was Thanksgiving weekend. And my uncle is a federal court judge. And I went to this Thanksgiving holiday party, and my uncle, who's a judge, had a friend that was there that I had never met before. And I don't remember if he was a judge or not. And he was talking about stuff. And I was saying, well, I was thinking about potentially applying for a Fulbright scholarship. And he's like, oh, I'm on the board for the people that decide, like the committee for deciding those scholarships. And it was this one exact, like, it was just, that was the first moment that sticks out in my head of like, wow, when you decide that you want something, that's how fast a door can open to you. It was something I was considering. I started looking into it, and that weekend I met someone who's on this extremely competitive scholarship board. Now, I ended up not taking that path because I fell in love with this stupid guy, not George, who broke my heart, and I decided not to go. But I realized in that moment that that's how quickly, all it takes is deciding that you want something and opening your eyes to that. And I started thinking, that is some kind of magic right there. That, like, even on a small scale, I just was mentioning the desire map, and like 3 or 4 people said, oh, I just bought that, or I was just thinking of that book. And I know it's a coincidence, sure, if you want to think of it that way, but it's also a synchronicity. And I truly believe that sometimes the doors will open in ways that will just open up your whole life. And it's such a beautiful thing. And I think if you can start looking and opening, make a decision right now. Like, if you're looking for positive signs, then test the universe and say, okay, if this is what I'm meant to know right now, if I was meant to meet Sarah and listen to what she has to say, and I'm meant to believe in positive signs, then show me a dragonfly in the next 24 hours and see what happens. Because I find that the universe always shows up may not actually happen in 24 hours, but when it happens, it won't just be a flippant thing. It'll be a gift in the mail from a beautiful person, or it'll be a dragonfly that actually physically lands on your phone, or it'll be, it'll be a copy of the book we were just talking about with the dragonfly bookmark. It's like it happens, those synchronicities, those positive things. And I think the more that we can really dig into and start listening to those whispers, the intuition that we have, we will start to see more of that. And I know that it's so hard when you've got negative things that are going on and you start to focus, but the more you focus on the negative and you allow it to make you feel like that's the way your life is going, the more those types of things will come into your life, I believe. And so start asking for the positive signs. Make a journal that's all the positive signs so you don't forget them. So a week, 2 weeks from now, you'll say, look at all these 5 or 10 things that happened. Yeah, Renee talked about this too, that she wanted this job to work with me. And so she asked the universe, if I'm meant to work with Sarah, show me dragonfly. And she saw 12 of them, like over the course of the few months that we were going through the interview process and stuff. So I just believe it's a matter of trusting that if you ask for it, it's going to start to come. So start asking, start keeping record of the ones that come, and it will come. I believe it 100%. Donna's Dreamin' says, thanks for all of your inspiration. I'm writing again because of you. I love that. It's new planner time for me, and I will order the HB90. I would like to put it in my A5 TN. I only need to print the goal sections because I do the weekly and daily in my Hobonichi. Can you make the HB90 into an A5 size traveler's notebook? And if so, what is the formula to print it front to back with TN style folding? Does anyone know the answer to this question? Technically, if you have A4 size paper, then you can do 2 to a page and say fit to page, 2 to a page. You might need to print on booklet format, which will print them back to front. So it kind of depends on your printer. But if you only have letter page because you're here in the US and we have a hard time getting onto A4 size paper, then you can do that, but it's going to come out half letter. So it'll be slightly smaller than A5. So I'm not 100% certain. Your bet, like the easy answer or the best way to do it, and you could even maybe send it off to like Staples or Office Depot or wherever near you to do it, would be to get it on A4 size paper printed like booklet format. So then you'll just be able to fold it in the middle. That's, I think, your best bet. I hope. Jean Shelby says, I have a question about saving or having a free book to offer to people who sign up for my email and newsletter. I uploaded my book to Draft to Digital and then use that PDF version to add to my welcome email when people sign up. I'm worried this might be too hard for people to read. Do you have any suggestions on other methods to offer this? Totally, 100%. PDF is not a great format because when people try to add it to their phones, it sometimes goes off to the side and it doesn't like format itself to be readable on a phone or an e-reader. So one of the best things to do is upload it to BookFunnel. So BookFunnel is going to be a place that you can, that's what I did with my newsletter thing, and it's worked really well for people. And you just upload it to BookFunnel. There may be a small fee, but I know they do have a free plan as well. And then what you'll do is you just send people a link. Instead of sending them the book, you send them a link or you send them a code, depending on which way you want to do it. And they go to BookFunnel. They choose what they have. They'll choose if they have an Apple device or a Kobo or whatever. And then BookFunnel hands them the file. And the other good thing about that is that if someone has an issue, they can't figure out how to get it onto their device, they can use BookFunnel customer service instead of asking you, how does it work? So 100% BookFunnel is the way to go for that. I highly, highly recommend it. Yeah, I think you're totally right about this. So the free version doesn't let you collect emails, but if you're giving it away to people who already are on your newsletter list, what you can do instead is you can have it as part of your email list. So they sign up for your email list. And then what you do, this is what I do. They sign up for my email list on my website instead of through BookFunnel. And then I send them a link to BookFunnel, and that can work. But I think you're absolutely right. The free version, you can't collect emails. Sarah, did you get in on the new Coffee Monsters Co. birthday box before it sold out? Was that today? Oh no, I was thinking it was Saturday. Oh no. Don't break my heart, Jennifer. I kept thinking it was Saturday. Was it today? Does she have pre-orders? Anything? I'm gonna have to email her. I will email her and see. I'll be like, "What can we do? What can we do?" So the USA has A4, like people could print. If I send it off to Office Depot, they could print it in A4. But we use paper, not in the like most of the world uses this. We don't. We have our own weird sizes. But you could use legal size paper. So that's another thing. If you don't, I don't know if A4 is the same as legal size, but I did hear someone say. Somebody look up for me, Coffee Monsters Co. Helen, when is her birthday thing? I will look it up when I get off because I'm like, I don't want to miss it. But yeah, you could do for who was asking about that? Donna, you could do letters or legal size paper if you have a printer that will print legal size paper. It's longer than A4. So maybe you could print it there, but just slightly smaller and then cut the edges off. That might work too. Thank you for that. So, yeah, BookFunnel I think would be a good way to do it. And if you want to pay, then you can have people sign up through BookFunnel and they'll send you the emails. But or you can connect it to your email service. But yeah, I know we're America. We got to be weird. It's like, why don't we use the same measurements the rest of the world? I don't know. Oh, it's tomorrow at 9 a.m. Yay. Okay, I'm definitely gonna. Thank you for the reminder because I haven't. I was like, please don't let me miss it. It's so cute. If you guys are not familiar with Coffee Monsters Co., Helen is this incredible artist. She has the cutest little things. She calls them emojis. They're like my favorite stickers in the world. And I just love her so much. She's turning 22. So she's doing a birthday party celebration. But that is all for the questions. But really and truly what I wanted to talk to you guys about today too, which we will miss time on. So we'll talk about a little bit more next week is Renee and I have been working on something that we call Project Phoenix, because I really feel like like I was telling you, I've spent so much time, set an alarm for 10:50 our time. Got it, Katrina. I'm doing it. Thank you. I feel like I have been I'm so proud of what I've built with Heart Breathings, and I want to keep it going, and I want to be able to continue to do my courses and grow that YouTube channel and everything. But the level of how much I miss my writing is starting to affect me, and I want to bring that back. So Project Phoenix is kind of about like the writing side of my life has been slow going, and I want to light it on fire. Like I am ready, like in a good way. I want it to rise from the ashes. And so I've been really thinking about what exactly I want to do. And I feel kind of guilty for even saying that I'm considering working on a different like short story or novella for a little while, just because this book isn't quite ready to go. But I'm going to just let go of that guilt, and I'm going to give myself permission to not feel guilty and to understand that it might not be what some people want me to be working on, but I cannot always control which stories are in my head. And I have another story that is kind of living in my head right now. So I am going to work on that a little bit this weekend and kind of play around with the idea of it. I have to tell you, the other thing that went through my head is I've been doing some videos over on Heart Breathings about scene structure, and my examples have come from The Witch's Key. So I've been like reading back through my notes and stuff and like wanting to write the second part of that. Vanessa Shaw, please. I know. Yeah. So I think that's the question is like, what do you want to write? And I think in some ways I have felt guilty about coming back to kind of be like, I feel like there have been several times in my writing career where I've sort of gone to my fans collectively and said, kind of asked permission. This isn't coming together. I'm struggling. Can I write something else? And that has been kind of the way that I've done it in the past. And I feel guilty for being like, okay, here we go again. Everybody that was upset about last release is going to be upset again. And I think where my problem is that I'm allowing a very small handful of people to dictate the way that I feel about my own creative endeavors, because the truth is it's not like there's thousands of people upset with me. It's like a handful of people who are curmudgeons that are mad that it hasn't come out this quickly, but it's like, well, you waited a year for the next Stranger Things to come out. You can't wait a year for this. Like, I know that you can wait, and I know that you will wait, and it's going to be fine. And I think that in order for me to get my passion back and my creativity and my spark back, I just need to let go of that burden of responsibility and just allow myself to have fun. And the truth is, if I get, instead of spending 2 years struggling to make a book come out, if I could just write what I want and have fun, maybe I could write 5 books, including that one, in a year. You know what I mean? Because I'm not carrying some kind of burden. And I think this is the next part of my own personal journey, is realizing that I have permission to not allow someone else's disappointment in my choices make me feel anything. You know, I have the freedom to just say, you're allowed to be disappointed. That is true. You totally are allowed to be disappointed. But I'm also allowed to just follow my heart, right? And we just won't get along. Because I understand how hard it can be to wait for books. And I understand how frustrating or even angry you could be. And you could totally, you know what? You could totally decide that you're tired of waiting for my books and just never buy them again. And that is your right. And you are allowed to do that. But it's also my right to take the time that I need to write the very best story that I can and to not feel guilty about it. And so I've got something else that's kind of in my heart and mind. And so I'm hoping that working on this and getting that creative spark back and really focusing on my books again. And I have to tell you, this conversation that I had this morning, including talking to you guys, is pumping me up for the writing. So that's what I'm going to work on a lot this week. So I'm excited and I feel renewed by the rain and by the choices that I'm making that I feel like are an up level for me in terms of my mental health. And I'm excited for what is the future. And I was thinking, when I was thinking about taking this this few days at the hotel, I was like, I'm going to draw one tarot card and see what it says. Should I take this trip? And you know what I pulled? The 9 of Pentacles, which is kind of the treat yourself, self-care, lounge and do your thing. And so I was like, okay, we're booking it. The signs are there. The universe is with me. So let this be an encouragement to you all that, like, what other people think of you, what other people say about you is really not your business. And it can hurt and it can feel true. But the only truth is what is right here, that you are worthy, that you are good, no matter what anyone else has to say, whether you write things or you show up on time or you do exactly the way other people want you to do. You are worthy and good, and you deserve to be happy and you deserve to be joyful. And I just hope that I can get that message across, because that's kind of what I'm allowing and learning about myself right now. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to a hotel. So I will see you if you are on Publish and Thrive. I will see you all tomorrow from my beautiful City View hotel room. And otherwise, I will see you guys again next week, hopefully using Ecamm instead. But this did work out, and at least the video is better overall. So thank you all again for being here. I know I tell you all the time, but man, I just love you. I love this community. Whether you're here live and I'm able to sit and chat with you, or you're leaving a comment or a like on the video on the replay, I'm grateful every single day. So have an amazing weekend, everyone. I will see you all next Friday. All right. Bye for now.